This week on the Digital Coffee, what are Elon Musk's plans for Twitter? Google has a new type of search which combines two elements. And what is a WhatsApp community? All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news for small business. My name is Amanda Webb, and you are very welcome. Thank you for joining me, because I know it's a Good Friday, and I know maybe you decided you might just have a little bit of a lie-in. Even if you've decided to work today, you thought, oh, well, it's a bank holiday, I'm going to have a lie-in. So if you are watching, thank you. If you're watching on Facebook, like Mel, hello Mel, it's fabulous to see you here. And yeah, there you go. School holidays means that you can be here to watch live. It is great to see you here. So do give us a shout out if you're watching on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, hello. Give us a shout if you are watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on my currently favourite social network, LinkedIn, do give us a shout out so that I can see that you're there. I can see, there you go, because we have someone on LinkedIn, because this is the special place to be these days, just in case you missed out. Good morning, Simon. Great to see you here. And when I say this is a special place, I might have some statistics that change your mind about that later. So what I would love to know in my question of the week, which I'm having to look down at right here, is what is your most used social app? Which app do you log into the most? Mel says I look fabulous. I have to put that up on the screen because that's really nice. Thank you very much. Here is May King, and it's really important that May King is here for two reasons, because I am so excited that May King is back on our Twitter space today at 10:30 a.m. on Twitter. If you go over to Twitter, it is my pinned tweet. I hope. Maybe somebody can confirm that for me. It is my pinned tweet. If you join us at 10:30, you can join in the conversation live and you can have your say too. So that's first thing. It's been, I think, a month since we've been together on that show, so it's fabulous. And also, of course, May King is coming, and actually she is our headline speaker at the Kickstart Dublin event, where she'll be talking about FOMO for your business. So I know there's a lot of May King fans out there. You better come and see that. I will be sharing more details on that later on. And here is James. Hello, good vibes. Is that a social network, or are you just saying there are good vibes? So let me know, which social app do you use the most? And of course, you'll find out why I'm asking that a little bit later on.
Hello, this is Nicole from Wonderstars, and you are watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
It's been, she puts her mug down, she bangs her microphone. It has been a little bit Elon Musk this week, hasn't it? It's been a little bit Succession. If you watch Succession, I swear it is playing out in real life right now on Twitter. As you may remember, last week I reported on Elon Musk buying a large portion of shares in Twitter. And at the time, since I'd put the story together, he had been invited to the board, as James, our regular viewer, told me. He had been appointed to the board or offered a place on the board. But since then, it's been daily, hasn't it? Since then, he's rejected his position on the board. He's bought more stock and he's made a bid to buy the whole thing. He thinks it should be in private ownership so it can be the leading free speech network. And we had a big discussion about free speech last week on the Twitter space. So this is big news. People are wondering where he's going to get the money from, because it's billions. Clearly, and they're reckoning he might share some Tesla stock or sell some Tesla stock. What's really interesting is that he also tweeted his ideas for where Twitter should go, or what he thought was wrong with Twitter, including no ads on Twitter. Secondly, everyone who buys Twitter Blue, so that's their subscription service where you get extra features, should get a check mark. They should turn the HQ into a homeless shelter. Now, I could almost get behind that one, because if it's not being used, I'm sure there's lots of people that need homes. They should do something about the crypto bots and spam accounts. Now, weirdly, he tweeted all of this, then he deleted those tweets. All of this is very worrying if you rely on Twitter as one of your key social networks, which I do to a certain extent. Now, if they get rid of ads, if it becomes a free speech platform, is the room for you as a business? Are your customers still going to be there? Or maybe those new customers that come in will be the people that you want to reach. If there's no ads, is there any room for promotion at all? I wonder that. So I don't think we should abandon Twitter. I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out until I see what happens. But you should right now be looking at another platform as a backup platform if Twitter is the key place that you do business. You know, there's so many things that only Twitter does. It is the only place where you can really connect with journalists, for example. They put shout outs for stuff. So, you know, I would be devastated to see Twitter change beyond recognition, but I think that's something we have to consider is going to happen if Elon Musk gets control. On the other hand, I'm not completely against someone having and buying it into private ownership. Microsoft did that years ago, and it actually, was it Microsoft? No, it was Dell. Dell did that. I'm very silly. Dell did that years ago, and it actually worked out really well for them. They took it back into private ownership. It was a mess. The customer service was terrible, and they turned the company around. So I guess, like Succession, there is going to be an installment later today, because even since I put this show together, that bid from Elon Musk to buy Twitter has come in. I can see we've got a few comments on this. That was YouTube app emoji that clearly did not work. Okay, good vibes was an emoji. Obviously, yeah, it's not talking to Ecamm very well there. There you go. So YouTube is James's most used platform. Simon says, I'm kind of on a board of social vibe presently, but LinkedIn is becoming my go-to and my Twitter addiction has burnt out. No, yeah, LinkedIn is my place at the moment. Like deliberately, I decided I needed to stop faffing around on Facebook and I should go to LinkedIn. So I've been working on it. I'm still not dived in as much as I should, but it's definitely the social network. Oh, hello, Adina. Great to see you. Adina works for Social Insider, which is an amazing tool you should definitely check out. And we met in San Diego. So great to see you here. Thank you. I know you're on a similar time zone, so it's not crazy o'clock where you are. Right, so thoughts on Elon Musk, thoughts on Twitter. Let me know if you want to have the conversation in more depth. Join us on our Twitter space at 10:30 a.m.
Hi, Sasha Lydia from Think Outside the Bot, and you're watching the Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Twitter is still innovating. You may remember a few months ago, we talked about the unmention option that was in the planning stages at the time. And what this is if you find yourself in a conversation that you don't want to be in, you can unmention yourself, which means it will turn all your tags black so nobody can click them. It'll also mean that you won't get notifications about that thread. And it'll also mean that other people can't tag you in that thread. Now, I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could leave a conversation on Twitter the same way we can in real life? We could walk out of the room, we can hang up, and that's it, out of our heads-ish. Whereas on Twitter, until now, you couldn't leave a conversation because the only thing you could do is leave Twitter. That was all you could do because it keeps bugging you. It keeps telling you once you're tagged, you're going to keep getting these notifications over and over again about that conversation. It's still in your head, which is not good for your mental health. So I do see this unmention being really popular and a really valuable tool for people and something that people have wanted for a long time. Can we take the bid Elon seriously? The bad? Can we take the bad Elon seriously? I don't know. As I mentioned about Elon Musk, I think it was on the space last week, I was saying, I'm conflicted about Elon Musk all the time because he's he can be an utter tool, to be honest. He's, and at the moment his behaviour isn't endearing me to him, to be honest. But sometimes he just does really good things as well. So, I think that's the thing with people, whether they're these big billionaire moguls with big egos or whether they're just regular people. People have shades to their personality. It's just unfortunate we see those personalities playing out in public when it's the like of Elon Musk, and those personalities have the chance to affect our lives. And often it is those hyper rich people and the politicians that have that effect on us. And it's then that it's clearer that people are multi-shaded rather than one way or the other. That was very political for this time of the day. I should probably move on. What do you think? Will I move on?
This is Making Sang, first name making, from the Firma Creator, and you have been watching the Digital Coffee Show with Amanda Webb.
It's not big news, but search is no longer just about typing something into a search engine. No, I'm not talking about voice search, which we know has been a thing. I mean, people have been talking about it at SEO conferences for as long as I can remember. Voice search is a thing. We use our smart speakers all the time, don't we, to ask them questions like, what's the weather going to be like? Or, what time does so-and-so open? And sometimes it gets it right. I think there's still a lot of work to be done on voice search, to be honest, but it's getting there. It'll get there as the AI gets better. We've also got visual search, and this is something that was pioneered really by Pinterest. The Pinterest lens meant that you could take a photo of something and it would search Pinterest for a result that was similar to it, which means if you wanted to purchase something, you could find it. Or, I did it for my hair once. I wanted to see how I could do my hair and I did it. And Google have followed that idea. You can now, with the Google app, you can do a visual search in exactly the same way. You can take a photo of something and it will find similar results. But now that Google search lens is getting better. It's going to give you the option to add text, to add context to that search. So in this example here, she's photographed an orange dress. It's given her examples of an orange dress, but in fact, she wants it in green. So in the text, she was able to add that context to say, I want a green dress. And it brings her up then results of a similar style of dress, but in green. Now this, I think, it seems like a little update, but I think this is really powerful because for the very reason, firstly, it's supposed to be on your Google app on iPhone and Android. I updated my Google app. It's not there for me yet. But even just the lens search, this necklace was sitting on the side. So I tried it with that and it brought up lots of similar and nicer necklaces. And I actually almost made a purchase. I just had to stop myself and go, no, that's really stupid. Don't do that. So I think this is going to be huge for e-commerce stores. I'm wondering what the search engine optimization behind this is. It's going to be a lot more complicated than what we normally do, but it does mean that people will be, your customers who want the thing that you sell will be easier able to find it. I think this can be huge.
Hi, I'm Danielle from Webb, and you're watching the Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Who loves Facebook Business Manager / Business Suite? Anyone? No. You know what? I think it's a good idea. I think Facebook have just made it way too complicated. I was trying to work with a group of people remotely a couple of weeks ago and trying to talk them through the process of, going in and adding your admins to your business manager account rather than just your business suite. And it's just, yes, it's just horrible, right? However, it is a good idea, and it's a good idea that Twitter have decided they're going to steal. So now there is going to be a Twitter version of Business Suite. I think they're calling it Business Settings, but it kind of does the same thing for an advertising account. So at the moment on Twitter, it is a little bit just overly complicated to add someone to your Twitter advertising account. This is going to make it much easier. Much like Business Suite, you'll be able to add them as a user and give them the level of permissions that you want them to. And it's even laid out a bit like Business Suite. But it is just for ads. When you activate this, it is going to get rid of anyone that's managing your ad accounts already, which I think is a good thing, because there's probably a whole lot of people knocking about there that you'd forgotten about because it's such a complicated process, and you will be able to switch it on or off. But what it's missing, and a feature I would really like on Twitter, is for that to also give people access to the organic Twitter account, or to be able to give access to just the organic Twitter account and not the ad account, and vice versa. That's missing, and that's always been missing from Twitter. There is a way you can do it with TweetDeck, but otherwise it gets a little bit more complicated. So I would like to see that feature added. Maybe it will be in the future. Good morning to Nelson, who I now know is actually just sending me an emoji on Facebook. It's not actually saying good vibes, which is what I see on Facebook, on YouTube, which is actually what I see at my end, is just the word good vibes. So you're very welcome. Thank you for joining me. We've got a few stories left. I would still like to know, what is the social media app that you use the most? Tell me that.
I'm Ant McGinley, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
WhatsApp communities are coming. Now, the problem with WhatsApp is those groups that you get added to on WhatsApp, because they're noisy, they're full of irrelevant stuff, you know, people posting things you don't want to know they think about, people posting memes and rubbish, they ping at all times of the night and day, and actually you want your WhatsApp to be relevant, you want your WhatsApp maybe to just have good conversations with friends. But there could be a really good way to use WhatsApp if you could choose to subscribe to specific threads, like you can on Slack, like you can on Discord. You can become part of, and this is what they're working on, by the way, a community. You can become part of a community, and within that community, there could be different threads that you could subscribe to. So if it was a business community, you could subscribe to marketing and sales, if that's what you're into, maybe the social club, maybe the people in your organization who wanted to chat about films or cats. That means that you would only get, or I'm sure it will still be abused, but you will only get messages that you actually want to get, which I think is good news. They are obviously having a swipe at the likes of Slack and Discord, and I think they could actually win, because if you've used Slack, if you've ever had to go and use it, it's like you have to go and use a completely new tool. You have to go and find your way around it. And with WhatsApp, it's going to be a lot easier for getting members of your organization to join in, because it's a tool they're already familiar with. So I am kind of excited and interested about this. I'm hoping that this is going to clean up some of my WhatsApp groups, even my non-business ones. I can see there's a case for. So, you know, if I've got a group of friends, within that we could have the friends that have children and the friends that don't, so I don't have to get involved in the conversations about going to kids' parties, for example. There is a real benefit to this, but only if the people that you want to connect with are using WhatsApp. I think there might be some kickback from people who don't want to use WhatsApp because it's owned by Meta within an organization, but I guess that's something we'll have to deal with in the future. Adina said, oh, sorry, wrong one. Adina says her top used social networks are LinkedIn, Twitter, and then Instagram. And you have mixed feelings about TikTok. Now, Adina, I know you're going to like this story. And I just have to say, before I move on, that shortly, a few weeks ago, we talked about how Instagram boss Adam Mosseri was saying, you know, that having a hashtag in your Instagram post doesn't really have an effect on your impressions. And Social Insider actually did, because I was going, that's rubbish, but Social Insider actually did a study. You might find the link, Adina, so that people on LinkedIn can see it, where they found that actually that's true. They actually did a really big study that found out that was true. And I meant to keep coming back on this show and talking about that, because that was really fascinating to me. But anyway, I think you're going to like the next story.
Hey, I'm Christine Gritman, and you are watching The Digital Coffee with social media superstar Amanda Webb.
Who uses social media? I think you're going to be surprised by this. TikTok. We all know that TikTok is one of the biggest social networks in the world. But surprisingly, it's only the 5th most popular app for people between the ages of 18 and 29 years old in the United States, the 5th most popular. And that's according to new data from Pew Research Center. So it's proper data that's there. Apparently, only less than 50% of that age group are actually using it. Surprised anyone? That's 18 to 29-year-olds. Now, I know it skews younger. So if you looked at the 13 to 18-year-olds, which they don't, this is only adults, you'd probably see a massive uptake in TikTok, and that's probably where most of the users are. I'd also think that maybe the 18 to 20-year-olds are the people out of that group that are using it the most. So 18 to 29 is, even though it's only 10 years, it's quite a long 10 years for younger people in using TikTok. But I'm still surprised. Anyone else? 5th most popular. What's the most popular? Across all age groups, YouTube. YouTube is the most popular social network. Actually, apart from 65 plus, where Facebook just eclipses it, just about. It's almost neck and neck. Slightly more of those use Facebook than YouTube. So for Facebook, this is really interesting. Facebook does well across all age groups. It comes in 3rd for 18 to 29-year-olds and 2nd for 30-year-olds to 64 years old and 1st for 64 plus. So this is really interesting to me. I mean, we know the user figures, we see the user figures, but my surprise was those two things, that TikTok wasn't as well used as I expected to, and Facebook is more well used. With that data on hand, should we be thinking more about the social networks that we're using? I know a lot of businesses have migrated over to TikTok. They've got on the hype, and maybe they're ignoring Facebook. But maybe Facebook is the place that you should be, particularly if your audience is a little bit older. But even 18-year-olds, it seems, are using Facebook. Now, the data I don't have is how often people are using it. So, you know, are 18 to 29-year-olds logging in once a month? And that's it. And maybe the older generations, the older you get, they're logging in more often. I don't have those stats. But what we do have, to me, is fascinating. And don't worry, I'll post a link underneath when we finish the show. One more button to press. Which one will it be?
Hi, I'm Lee from Wellshot, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Cheers.
I'm sure everyone knows who Ogilvy are. Ogilvy are one of the largest, if not the largest, advertising and marketing agency in the world. And they've been around for like ever. And why am I mentioning Ogilvy? Well, they have instructed their UK office to only or to not work with influencers who modify or touch up their face or their body. And they're doing this, according to them, because they say it is because these activities can cause harm to the body image of young people. Well, yeah, Ogilvy, where have you been for the last 5 years? Because we know authenticity is a hot trend right now. We kind of hope it's not a trend. We kind of hope it's forever, but it's definitely a hot trend right now. And it has been for several years. It's just interesting to me that right now it's become such a large trend that the likes of Ogilvy have noticed, and they have implemented rules around this. And as they've done that, they've been able to tap into a cause, so it makes them look good. But really, they just know this is such a strong trend now that they better be on it. And you know what? Everywhere I go, I'm talking to people and they are talking about authenticity. And we're even talking about it when I'm teaching people video and when I'm teaching people photography for social media. I'm not a big photographer. I'm talking about being authentic. And, you know, none of us are 100% authentic, right? We put makeup on. I put makeup on and I do my hair before this show and I put some nicer clothes on. I don't look quite so good from the bottom down. I mean, I look fine, but I look better on the bit that you see on screen. But I don't think that's inauthentic. What's inauthentic is when we edit ourselves so much that we look just like these perfect people. And that is a high standard to try and set for other people and not just young people. So good news from Ogilvy. They finally copped on that this is the way how to do things. Here's Simon. He's not hugely surprised about TikTok in America, as it's massive. A massive proportion of American Republicans would be anti-Chinese business connections. Yeah, I know, but I think they are and they aren't at the same time. You know, I know, well, I could guess a number of Republicans that I know, and they do all use TikTok. So, and particularly kids, I think they like to rebel and do what the other kids are doing. So maybe it is true. You got huge engagement on TikTok compared with Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. I think that can be quite addictive, can't it? Because I was thinking of that earlier when I saw some statistics, and it may even have been yours, about the fact that Instagram engagement was plummeting. And I was thinking, every time that happens, everyone wants to go somewhere else. One of the stories I'm not covering this week, because who knows what's going to happen, is a new social network called Be Real, which is taps into the authenticity, but everyone's kind of going, well, will I go there now? I'm not sure there's a business case for it yet, but there you go. And here's that study from Social Insider. Thank you so much. I'll have to go and grab that link and put it in the comments as well about the Instagram, because that was fascinating. And now, I'm not sure which post you're referring to, Mel. She says they get mixed feedback about the image they shared with the post. Ah, the post about Ogilvy. Right, interesting. Now, I'm not sure I have that one. Am I wearing fluffy slippers? No, I'm wearing really ugly Marks and Spencer's slippers that have an arch support, because I stand up for work all day. I'm just, basically what I'm doing is I'm wearing the same colour from top to bottom. And when I got dressed this morning, I went, well, this is only for the live show. I changed my top afterwards. Here's the proof. Can you see? See my leg? It's the same colour. I look like I'm in uniform or something, or I look like I'm David Icke, which is probably worse. Okay, that's all the news for this week. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget 2 things. Don't forget 10:30 a.m. my Twitter space with Making Sang. She's back. Come and chat with us and put in your own thoughts about what we have covered on this show. I'm really interested to hear it. Don't forget, on the 27th of April, can you make it to Dublin? Because there's an amazing business conference happening. I say amazing because I'm running it with some other people. Kickstart Dublin, which is happening on the 27th of April. It's a boutique conference in a boutique hotel in Dublin, just opposite Facebook headquarters, Twitter headquarters, Google headquarters, just across the bridge from that. Lovely little boutique hotel. We're going to be showing you how you can grow your business in 2022. I'm excited to see you there. I will, if you've commented on this, sorry, I can't do it on YouTube, but if you've commented on LinkedIn or on Facebook, I'm going to just drop you a link to that in case you want to come, or in case you want to tell anyone else about it. That would be fabulous. But otherwise, I will see you same bat time, same bat place next week. Bye-bye.